Hello and welcome. This is the Money Show, Nigeria's #1 financial newsroom, coming to you from the national capital, Abuja. I am Nancy Ilu. Thank you for joining us again today. Of course, the whole nation has been agog with the ministerial screening that went on at the Senate on Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, this ministerial screening has been postponed to next Tuesday. So we expected a screening yesterday, but of course, the screening was not done and postponed to next Tuesday. As a Nigerian, if you're inspired and encouraged by what you saw on the floor of the Senate, some people were disappointed. Why should it be bar and go? Did the Senate actually fulfill its promise of not business as usual? Did we actually see the screening as business as usual? For the questions that were asked, were you also satisfied with the kind of questions that came out from the senators as well as the answers from the ministerial nominees? Send us your comments right now. Join us on our social media platforms. Go to Facebook, drop your comments at ABC Money Show Live. You can also tweet at us at Money Show Live. You can also tweet at the handle Nancy Ilu. You can also go to YouTube and find some episodes perhaps that you've missed or you really want to watch again, or at the end of today you will find this episode on youtube.com/The Money Show. So send us your comments. We'll be looking at today, talking about our conversation. We'll be looking at the economy awaiting direction. Of course, some ministers, some ministerial nominees have been confirmed and approved by the Senate. We expect that portfolios will be given to them very soon by Mr. President, and they will hit the ground running. In the past 4 to 5 months, the economy has been awaiting the economic direction of this present administration. What is the economic vision of President Muhammadu Buhari? It's still not clear, except when we hear snippets perhaps from the vice president at different fora that will actually give us a view into perhaps what they would want to do. But of course, it's on their minds that they want to improve the welfare of Nigerians. They actually want youth unemployment to decrease from the value it is right now. They want more jobs for our youth, create employment, encourage entrepreneurship, and all of that. So do send us your comments right about now. Today on the program, we'll also take you through market movements across exchanges trading around the world as I speak, and perhaps for those that have finished trade for today. But let's quickly take you through the headlines on our radar. The National Bureau of Statistics has released the September inflation report showing that inflation rates in the country rose marginally by 100 basis points in September. The index, which measures inflation, increased marginally to 9.4% year-on-year from 9.3% in August, which is the fastest pace in September, was as a result of higher food and non-food divisions. Alcoholic beverage, tobacco, cola, clothing, and footwear, as well as housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuel divisions, among others, which contributes to the headline index, while the Muslim holiday period may have contributed to higher food prices. The food sub-index as a whole recorded a marginal increase, increasing by 10.2% year-on-year in September from 10.1% in August. Prices rose in the major categories such as bread, cereals, meat, fish, and oils, as well as fat groups. The fruits, vegetables, potatoes, yam, and other tuber groups have, however, held constant or grown at a slower pace for 3 consecutive months, ultimately weighing on the index. All right, I don't know if we'll have a rundown, a list of inflation numbers from the beginning of this year. Of course, we keep that record for you, for those that need the statistics and perhaps the studying economics in the university that actually trouble me sometimes, give me this data, okay, I'm being told we don't have it. But inflation numbers for September stood at 9.4%, in August 9.3%, in July 9.2%. So we're seeing a gradual increase of inflation numbers. All right, with the awareness of the potential role that inclusive growth can play in creating resilient economies, decent employment opportunities, maximizing income and wealth disparities, as well as eradicating poverty in Nigeria. The Nigerian Economic Society had its annual conference with the theme Attaining Inclusive Growth in Nigeria, Prospects and Challenges. Jennifer Ogbalo was there and brought this back.
With the recognition that Nigeria is characterized by the paradox of growth and deepening poverty, as well as worsening inequality, the Nigerian Economic Society had its 56th annual conference centered on the theme, Attaining Inclusive Growth in Nigeria, Prospects and Challenges.
The objective of today's event, as we have said in the meeting, is to actually analyze and examine the prospects and challenges of attaining inclusive growth in Nigeria.
Economic growth implies growth in your gross domestic product over time, but does not imply development. You can grow and yet you're not developing. For example, Nigeria's growth rate is positive, about 4.5%.
Stakeholders speaking at the event said that the real challenge facing inclusive growth and development in Nigeria is how to formulate strategies to reduce poverty and inequality.
But there's no development because unemployment is about 25% or so. Nigerians are still unemployed and they are qualified. Nigerians don't have access to quality education, no access to water, no access to health services. Poverty is increasing. There's widening inequality. In Nigeria, only 3% of Nigerians enjoy the country's resources.
Nigeria has a very important natural resource, though has accrued a lot of income, earnings to the country. But this income and earning has not been properly bottomed down. It has not been invested in social infrastructure. It has not been invested in good roads, in industries that will benefit the common man. It has not been invested properly in education, in health, and to talk about power.
The capacity of the institutions in the states are very weak. The number one role for the state government is to ensure that we build capacity of these institutions. Because without good capacity, there won't be any kind of meaningful agenda or planning or any sort of idea that can actually pass through the system.
To reduce poverty, unemployment and inequality, it is imperative for government to formulate growth policies that are inclusive, sustainable and truly developmental, since there can be no development without growth. Jennifer Ogbalo, reporting for The Money Show.
Standards Organization of Nigeria is saddled with the responsibility to ensure that locally manufactured products in Nigeria give the required degree of satisfaction to consumers through compliance with government policies on standardization and conformity assessment, as well as goods imported into Nigeria meets the minimum requirements of Nigeria's industrial standards or any other approved international standards. Phoebe Tukuru, take us through this.
To improve the lives of people through quality assurance and standards, concerned stakeholders have expressed their worries over the rate at which adulterated and counterfeit lubricants are being sold in Nigeria and efforts being put in place.
That a journey of 1,000 kilometers will start with a step. If we start today to fight bad engine oil in our truck, in our vehicles, and so on, before the next 5 years, Nigeria will have resurrected from their slumber, and that will do a lot of good to our economy.
More was said on the unscrupulous activities plaguing the nation and had refused to stop. Standard Organization of Nigeria had maintained that it will continue in the fight to curb the menace till importers and manufacturers desist from the act.
The same language is spoken by everybody in the world in terms of standards, and Nigeria has an opportunity to embrace quality. But Nigeria buys practically every other thing. So in the world, people see us more as buyers than as sellers. What we need to do, the message for this World Standards Day, is that we must begin to convert ourselves as sellers. Sellers of manufactured products, sellers of processed agricultural products. Once we begin to do that, then we'll begin to gainfully employ our huge population, and Nigeria will heave a sigh of relief as one of the biggest economies in the world.
Nigeria has now become a member for the first time of African Organization for Accreditation, which will help link Nigeria with the rest of the world for accreditation. Phoebe Tukur, reporting for The Money Show.
Most of us here are liaison officers. What does it mean? A liaison office is an agency or an outpost of the government which handles the facilitation and dissemination of vital policy matters and other information between the home government and federal government, ministries, departments and agencies on one hand, as well as diplomatic and consular activities with foreign missions, international organization, multilateral and special bodies. Again, our reporter Phoebe Tukuru looks at the role liaison office plays, of course, talking about information dissemination of economic policies and programs of different states in Nigeria.
Liaison offices are key to the success of any government as it supports a network by providing ongoing community friendship and support. They serve as the first responder in the communication network connecting with the people and their leaders.
So it's an important office. It's a place that you will, if you want, come to drop a message for the state government and also to learn what is happening in the states. News bulletins, magazines, things concerning the states will be distributed from here.
Well, the importance is manifold. Particularly, you're talking about a state that is community-based. I think we have over 177 communities in Anambra State, and each community has a union. Permission of the governor has created an office space where they can always meet and function. So there is nothing that any Anambrarian wants to achieve that will not have a bearing with this office. So it is very important, it is strategic, and it is crucial for the development of Anambra people.
It also serves as an investment platform for anyone that wants to with the state.
Majority of the donor agencies, the international communities that we intend to interface with, even individuals that want to do business with Anambra State will first of all stop here. So this is intended to be like a window, for us to network, be able to rake in as much as we can from us, even from our people that are here. We want to be able to make it comfortable for them to also feel free, to come in here and be able to relax and know and see what they can do for Anambra. We have quite a lot of human resources that are on hand to let people know what Anambra, stands for.
A liaison office is like an outpost. An established institutions create an outpost or a branch. A country creates an embassy abroad, which I had one as Consul General in Johannesburg. A state creates an outpost in the capital, which is why we are all here. So the roles of the outpost, the liaison officers, are indigents of the state and investors who are interested in going to the states come to the liaison office to find out information about the state. Is the state a tourist and investment destination? Anambra State is an investment haven. It's very secure and it is a good tourist destination.
The most important attributes for a liaison officer to possess are a genuine regard for people of all ages, the ability to listen and to be objective, the desire to learn about other culture, and most importantly, to be honest and passionate in carrying out their duties. Phoebe Tukur, reporting for The Money Show.
Let's quickly check out what happened around the world this week that is off the shores of Nigeria. Phoebe Tukur again will take us through that.
Show coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja.
The market rose by about 105 billion naira. there some other things that we can do to help small businesses in Nigeria?
There is. Like one of the things we found out was most of our businessmen do not have the capacity to do a business plan. We have very good policies, but be consistent with those policies.
Whether it's a solo business or it's a big brand, it's the same thing. You might not necessarily have to attend a
All right, sorry about that mix-up. Let's quickly take the market numbers. The Nigerian Stock Exchange appreciated by about 11 points on Thursday. As you can see on your screen, the volume of shares traded ended at 172.8 million ordinary shares. Investors staked 3.44 billion naira on that volume of shares in over 3,000 transactions. The top gainers included Okomo Oil as well as Mansard, while the losers were Access Bank PLC, Vitafoam, and Vega Paints. Other African markets today indicated, as Elotrade indicated, that the Ghana Stock Exchange was down 33 points, while the South African market appreciated by about 0.25% at 53,099 for 53,000 points there, while the Egyptian market is trading. Those are not today's numbers. Today's numbers indicates that Egyptian market was down by 1%. All right, if we take a look at the United States, we saw major averages appreciated rather by over 1%. Of course, Wall Street, that's the New York Stock Exchange, will be open later at today, 2:30 p.m. Nigerian time. The U.S. averages rallied more than 1% overnight thanks to a jump in financials and soft economic data, specifically the CPI data, which bolstered the case for a delay in the rise of U.S. interest rates. If we move over to Europe, indices traded higher following a positive lead from the U.S. as well as Asian market as investors focused on earnings from a number of companies. While in Asia, equities cruised higher today. They came off the day's highs by late morning trade after staging a rally earlier in the session following an impressive lead from Wall Street. The Nikkei 225 of Japan extended gains, while the Hang Seng of Hong Kong bounced 0.73%. The Chinese Shanghai Composite lurched higher in the final hour of trade. A barrage of economic data are due out of the world's second biggest economy, that's China, on a Monday. The Australians are traded also in the green by 0.75%. Let's move over to commodities. Brent crude is being watched as oil prices, and oil prices, of course, are climbing on U.S. gasoline drawdown to snap a week-long decline as investors bet falling U.S. production could cut a global surplus. Brent is trading around $50.28 a barrel, 1.11% in the green. The Naira against three major currencies that we track for you on the program, the parallel rate as well as the official rate. Those are the numbers. 196 according to the central bank's website, 302, 224. Those are the official numbers of the dollar, pound, and euro, while the parallel numbers are higher. That's the figures there. 225 for the dollar, 343 for the pound, and 250 for the euro. Let's check out other international currencies. Last week on the program, I did tell you about the dollar being a bit weak, but the dollar, which is the reserve currency of the world, is gaining on U.S. inflation data and ECB easing expectations. The dollar rebounded from a 7-week low today. Inflation data gave the dollar some relief, while the euro against the dollar is slipping 0.1%, having slid from a 7-week peak of $1.14. The dollar against the yuan is doing 0.27%. The dollar against the pound is at 154 0.73. We're seeing a 14 points upside for the currency there. All right, those are the movements for you across our markets, from the stock market to, of course, the currencies, our markets. Let's quickly take a break and our conversation would start. Please do send your comments. We are waiting the inspiration that this cabinet, of course, when it's being constituted, would give the economy. What direction? Perhaps we should start charting a course for them right now. My guest will be joining me on the program after the show, Tunji Awonusi, an economic analyst. Send your comments, tweet at us, The Money Show Live. You can also tweet at the handle Nancy Ilo. We'll be back after this break.
Coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja.
The market rose by about 105 billion naira. And there's some other things that we can do to help small businesses in Nigeria.
There is. Like, one of the things we found out was that most of our businessmen do not have the capacity to do a business plan. We have very good policies, but be consistent with those policies.
Whether it's a solo business or it's a big brand, it's the same thing. You might not necessarily have to attend a business school, but you need knowledge to run a business.
The federal government cannot do it alone, and then the state government cannot do it alone. So there has to be a synergy, and the synergy must be a very productive one.
If you think that with such a small pool, we're talking about a fund of about 5 trillion, if you think of what that can do for long-term retirement planning, what it can do if it's invested in other sectors, of course with the right guards and measures in place, then you begin to see what is possible if we expand the basket, especially to the informal sector. So I think it's very significant, yes.
Well, today's event is about pension in Africa, trying to find a way of consolidating the gains already made and establishing the sustainability of the new pension scheme that is cutting across the world. So Africa must not be left out this time around in development. Part of the challenges we have about the new pension scheme is that we have not really gotten adequate public awareness of the workings of the scheme. Neither do we even know what we stand to gain, the immense possibilities that are provided by this scheme. We have yet to come to grasp with it. So forums like this create that opportunity for us to leverage on this scheme, to be able to understand it and make sure that we benefit from it for development.
All right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, it's The Money Show coming to you from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Thank you for your company, as always. Trust us to keep you up to the minute with business, finance, economic, market, as well as investment information. Joining me right now is my guest, Tunji Awonusi, an economic analyst. We're looking at the economy, awaiting direction, awaiting the magic that this administration would perform. Though Mr. President has said, hold on guys, I'm not a magician, I'm not a miracle worker, but I don't know, Nigerians are expecting him to do miracles.
Absolutely.
You know, because he campaigned on the change mantra that everything will change from the norm. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Nancy. It's nice to be here again.
Did you watch all that went on at the Senate on Tuesday and Wednesday, talking about the screening of the now ministers designates?
That's right.
Did you watch?
Yes, I did. I watched everything.
What? Tell me, when you were watching, what were the high points for you?
Well, I think that you remember I said last week that the two people that stood out well, that I actually had a track record of, were Amina Mohammed and then Fashola, and they did very well. Kemi Adeosun did extremely well too. You could see that there are graphs of what is happening around them, around the economy, and then Fashola was able to show that he actually governed Lagos. He knew how the game was played in Lagos and how things went. Fayemi was another very quality candidate we have. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to hear from a lot of people because of the bow and go thing. But having said that, I do think too that because it's on national TV, most of the senators were, maybe I wouldn't call the word afraid to ask questions, but I think if it was just closed door, that they're not on national TV. You know, Nigerians are very conscious of their spoken English. They're very conscious of the question they would ask, because some of the constituents are even saying that my senator did not ask any question. But I found out that the legislators do more thorough questioning when they do when they do closed door meetings without the media being there. So I do think going forward, this whole area of the media, it should be in the public. I think we should be looking at it, because there are more detailed questions that you ask away from
Some
camera.
people may not just agree with you.
Yes,
because,
I agree.
You know, because I'm looking at the scenario that, oh, it's because it was a national television live as it was going on there, and it gives or some senators are afraid to ask questions. They don't want to be seen. But a lot of senators also understand the power of the media.
Absolutely.
Some actually used it to their own benefit, because we're going to a stage, and I think it played a part in the last election when the senators or the House of Rep members went back to their and said, we always see you in the House or the Senate sleeping. Did you ever ask questions for one day? How do they know all of that? They were not in the Senate with them, or in the National Assembly with them at that time. It was what they saw on television. So they should use that instrument of media for the betterment of Nigerians. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I totally understand. And I think that
not asking questions, or not even asking the right questions, saying, let's come close door, come off it.
I think the capacity as well, we need to look at how we could enhance that. The National Assembly needs to use a lot of consultants in things like this. Somebody who will come and talk through the economy, talk through the system and policies to the legislators, because it's very important for them to know the questions to ask. The other thing I want to point out too is that I think going forward, the president should actually start designating their portfolio before they come for the interview. If you know you're going to be Minister for Agric, then we are clear that agricultural questions will be asked to you. But what is happening here is people are just looking at what they've done in the past and using that to ask them questions. And a lot of time you just find out that those questions just fall into the hand of somebody who is ready, who already knows what he's talking about. So that makes a lot of sense. But there are a few things that we need to change though. If it's our law that we need to change, let's change it so that everybody knows their portfolio. Normally, if somebody like you is nominated as a minister and I am a senator to interview you, I'm probably going to talk to you about media. I would think you're going to be Minister of Information or something like that. But that might not be the best area for you. But if the president has done that, then we can ask you questions in that new area. That's what I found out. But by and large, I think it was a good interview. It was a good screening. The senators really comported themselves. I'm extremely excited with senators like Senator Abaribe. You know,
Yunaya Abaribe.
Yes,
the question he asked,
fantastic question.
I was expecting that question myself. I said, if Fashola goes without anyone asking him about the website amount he used, come off it, and that means they're playing to the gallery.
Absolutely.
But he stood up to
he asked those questions, and he asked it politely. That's what I like about it. I mean, the senator, Yunaya Abaribe, asked that question politely. What we want is, we don't want to fight. Just ask questions and straight to the point. I'm very excited about Eno too, John Eno. It's somebody who I know from the House of Reps. And when you see them stand up to ask questions, I think the quality of people in the Senate is very good. For the first time, we're having a good mix of ministers and a good mix of legislators who are actually going to engage themselves very well at this time. But we need to, the media, which is the third realm, you guys need to stand up to it as well to make sure that we all put everybody in place. Because, I mean, if we talk
we
about...
the third or we are the fourth?
Well, I believe in this country we are number one, though. The media is number one because of what they're doing. But I think the media should stand up to them as well and make sure that everybody is held accountable to all the policies that they're going to drive. Because if we lose sight, then everything might just go down.
Were there some low points for you? Because you've just mentioned a lot of high points. Were there some low points for you?
Well, there are low points here and there, but I don't want to dwell on those ones. Let's look at the positives going forward and say that. But you see a lot of people who had come there that you're not sure what exactly they're there for. You understand? When they answer questions, you're not very clear about what they're trying to put out there. So you're not very sure. But that's not saying that they will not be good when they have a portfolio. We have people who are very good at writing, but they're not good speakers. So sometimes you can't get the best of people from that sort of a screening, which lasts for maximum an hour 30 minutes.
There were some ministers designates now that actually answered questions for more than an hour, hour 20 minutes, an hour 45 minutes, close to an hour, and all of that. And to me, it sounded as if those senators were actually in the lecture room, you know, perhaps for Ibe Kachukwu, for example.
That's right.
His answers to the questioning were, you know, coming from a depth of knowledge and information. I could actually read the body language of some of the senators. They kept quiet. They were like, oh, really? Okay. When he said NNPC spends close to about the budget of 4 to 5 states, they were like, oh, really? We didn't know that, you know? And some other informative things that he said. So for you, there were really no, or you don't want to dwell on them?
No. I just said to you there are low points. I mean, thank you for mentioning Ibe Kachukwu. That's somebody who knows his onions. You're clear. I like the way he answers those questions. It's not, he's saying to everybody, if you don't want me, you don't want me. I have jobs to do. And he's very clear about it. When you talked about the subsidy, look at what he said. He said, I had this conversation with the president. It's very clear that we cannot take this economy to the next level if we still keep subsidy. We have always said it. I mean, consulting for the National Assembly, that you have an agency, some agencies in Nigeria that are bigger than ministries. That's what he said about NNPC and the overhead. Look at the general managers they have. Look at the assistant general managers they have that don't even have anything to do. Those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. Is the CBN the way it's constituted? I'm just using CBN as an example. Is it profitable? Do we need to have that number of deputy governors? Do we need to have that number of assistant directors? Do we need to have that number of directors? Because those are the kind of things we need to start looking at. There's some MDAs, there's some agencies that are so bloated, and if you look at their overhead and you look at their remuneration, it's very high. So those are the kind of things. Let's take a hit first. If we need to pay them off for pensions and all that, let's take it out and move on. Everywhere in the world, people are actually doing smaller government and making sure that the private sector is growing. But right now, our government is just too large. So Ibe Kachukwu, I thought the screening was really good. He showed a lot of things. Now he said to us that he thinks that the subsidy of 40 million is not right, that the subsidy is between 28 to 30 million liters, and that's what we consume. That's what we consume. Yeah, that's what we consume.
Because that figure has actually been very controversial.
Thank you.
35 million, 40 million, 30 million, who do we believe?
So you can imagine how much has gone waste. Some people are claiming money for 10 million liters for doing nothing. Those are the kind of questions, those are the kind of answers that Nigerians would like to hear. It's very clear now that there's a lot of waste in the system, and we need to plug those leakages as quick as we can.
Were those questions from the floor of the Senate Red Chamber, were those questions conventional?
Well,
were they deep enough? You know, what would you do if you're Minister of Agriculture? Let's assume now you're going to Justice. I understand that perhaps the portfolios were not given to them by the president, but could we have seen deeper questions from the senators that would also give us a view into how knowledgeable these ministers designate are? Because anyone can talk about anything. They ask you a question on agriculture now. Mr. Awonusi, what would you do if you are the Minister of Agriculture? You will know, okay, I may start from where Mr. Adesina has stopped. You know, all those peripheral things. So would we, or would you have appreciated if the questions were a bit deeper, that it's going into like an outward way? A lot of people said, oh, he performed excellently well, you know, when he was asked a question, but they were conventional questions. Anyone could actually know, if you are knowledgeable about that sector, you could actually know what to answer at any particular time.
I totally agree with you, Nancy. And as somebody who was consulted for the National Assembly, and he has been with them, and committee levels are closed doors. That's why I said to you, I think that we should go away from this national television for senatorial screening. For ministerial.
I don't know, I'm not agreeing with you on that. Perhaps that is my constituency. And Nigerians should also know the quality of people that any president, not just President Buhari, appoints. And Nigerians will be able to gauge. If you say, do closed door sessions, come off it. A lot of things can also happen behind closed doors that we won't know.
I totally agree with you, Nancy. But you see, the media is still in there, no matter how closed door it is. But I'm just saying to you, really, that when a lot of people are on national TV, they're very conscious. Thank you. They're very conscious of the question they ask. They're very conscious of how they engage you.
So don't you think that the senators, I'm not even talking of the senators, the legislators moving forward should be a bit, I don't want to say the word schooled, or should be a bit, taught by people like you that are or get media consultants that would actually shape. I understand that a lot of people, when they see the camera, they shy away, or a lot of, things like this are done abroad.
Yes, I totally, but if you look at it abroad too, the US Senate, they're not going to show the screening of the ministerial nominee on national TV.
But they show screening of, come off it.
What they do is that when they have
the cabinet the cabinet secretaries and all of that. Meanwhile, I think they have 15 of them.
That's right. When they come, they ask detailed questions, but that is on the committee level.
You see a senator asking correct questions.
Yeah, but then number one, they already know that the Secretary of State is coming to do this. That's one thing we need to do. First of all, give them a portfolio. Let them come and defend what they're going to do. We can hold them responsible for that. My challenge is, everybody that has spoken has not talked to me about a policy that they're going to do. Because they really don't know. But if the president has said to them, listen, Nancy, you're going to be in information, then Nancy...
Why are you saying Nancy
because I know you're going to be a minister very soon.
Do you have a crystal ball?
I don't have a crystal ball, but right now, people like you are supposed to be there. We're fighting that the youths are not there. And people were saying that, maybe we don't have good youths in Nigeria. And I'm saying that somebody like Nancy will make a fantastic minister. But having said that, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not campaigning.
Having said that, there's a need now, going forward, because of the debate we're having, that the ministers should know what the ministry that they're going into. Immediately you speak to them, you say, listen, I'm going to use you in this ministry. Please put together your thoughts about the ministry, put together a paper concerning this ministry, so that when they actually go for their retreat, or when they come for this screening, the senators will know what to ask them. Because it's easy for a senator to say, okay, Tuji, I want to take you on as a consultant, but I want detailed thing about this guy who's going to be Minister of Finance. Then I will sit back and look at the capital market. What does he want to do with SEC? What does he want to do with AMCON? What does he want to do with CBN? What is he going to do with Exim Bank? All these policies.
So in a way, we should also sympathize with the Senate.
Absolutely, because they really don't know what to ask. If they find out that somebody will fit into a place, you see the questions that comes up. Look at Ibe Kachuku. They engaged him because they know that it's coming from NNPC. He might probably get the petroleum ministry because of where he's coming from, so they can engage him. If you look at the interview with Fayemi, in their head, they think Fayemi is going to be somewhere like foreign affairs. So they're probably looking at policies that concerns Nigeria, how they think Nigeria can manage our foreign policy going forward. If you look at the Fashola, a few of them think it might
Attorney General.
Thank you, Attorney General or Works. But I would like him to be in Works or Power, though. A lot of people are saying Attorney General, but I don't think so.
Some people are saying FCT.
I don't really want him to.
I'm just echoing the rights of people.
Why would you govern two states? It doesn't make sense to me. Let him use his skill somewhere else. Because really, there's nothing in FCT.
But what's wrong if he governs two states? He's done well with a state.
Yeah, but Nancy, what I need...
FCT needs to generate money.
What I need, Nancy, is power. You can imagine how...
But should there still be a minister of power? Should there still be a minister of power when the power assets have been privatized?
No, but we still need a lot of direction.
You understand? Because I also had... I was disturbed a bit that we're talking Ministry of Power. Come off it, these assets have been sold.
Yeah, but somebody
So what will they be doing?
No, somebody needs to give them direction. Somebody needs to get the discos and the transition company to do what they're supposed to do. The problem we have in Nigeria is you sign up to something and you don't do 10% of it. You and I know that our tariffs, we're still paying our tariffs, but we're not getting the power. Somebody needs to say to them, this is what you're supposed to do. Even though we privatize everything, it doesn't mean that the government should let the private do whatever they want to do. We need him in that area.
Regulators?
Thank you. Yeah, that should, no,
as a ministry?
What I'm saying is the minister should hold the regulators very responsible because they're reporting to him. Like this NEC, the National Electricity Regulatory, they must give them power to get these people to do what it is. You have NCC. If there's no minister that tells the MCC, I'm saying that we need
for the
people,
telecom companies.
thank you, people who are going to be calling them to say, listen, you said you're generating for 4,000 megawatts. How are you doing it? How come people don't have power? Those are the kind of things Fashola can do. He can give you facts and information just like that on his fingertip. If we give him works, he can tell you, okay, listen, we can only do as much as 10,000 kilometers of road in 4 years. Dangote is talking about using cement. Nobody has done any research on it. That's the kind of thing that he's going to engage him about. We need somebody who, even if when it's gone, he already has a policy, like additional. If you look at a Greek, right now there's something that if you come in as a minister, you can't throw away everything is done. There's so many things that are there for you to just work on and make sure that it's stabilized. That is what we need. And we need that for power. We need that for infrastructure. Because anytime we get a minister of works, they just come and start patching road. And then after 2 years, the whole thing will, because nobody has created something around it. Is it even viable for you to be driving Abuja-Lokoja Road without any toll? Everywhere in the world, Nancy, you travel all over. There are tolls. It's not, you can't just take away tolls because the money from that tolls could be used to actually manage this road.
There was something I saw, a video that I watched sometime last week in terms of new innovations building roads. It may not even be the highways or the expressways, but all those what do they call it?
Yes,
all those smaller roads,
yes, that's
the
right.
rural roads.
Rural roads. And
I saw, you know, this, is it interlocking stuff that we call
exactly,
that we use
yes.
in building our houses?
Yes.
You know, use it to even build those roads. You know, a machine, I was like, wow, is someone actually watching this? And it would actually also be cost effective. But that aside, with the minister's designates now, as an economic analyst, are you inspired and encouraged by what you've seen, the quality of people, so to speak, that the president is bringing on board? You know, because the president who has been hammered, or in the past few weeks hammered, oh, you're recycling people, begin to sing a new song right now after the screening as a result of the quality of those that we've seen on or that will be on his cabinet, even though they are recycled, people like Adu Ogbe, and though we have a few people there, you know.
Well, I'm not going to sing anybody's praises now. I just want to see the policy direction first. I know what they're going to do. The number one thing for me is the economy should be kick-started as quick as it can.
Possible.
We need somebody who is more expansionary in thinking. That's why I love what Fashola is saying, that we can't drive the 21st century economy thinking about debt is bad. We must take on more debt to build infrastructure. We must take on more debt to develop our
He's talking from the Lagos example.
Exactly, because Lagos, yes, everybody keeps talking about Lagos, but Lagos is indebted. But those debts were good debts because they're building roads, they're doing toll, they're doing everything. So my point is, we must come from that class. I'm very excited with what the Vice President said at the Economic Summit because I listened to some of the things he said, and I'm happy that the President is moving most of the economic matters to him. That's very fair because I was always been very skeptical about the President's body language towards the new economy. I mean, I have this feeling that the President is on the other side of the economy where I don't hold nobody, so my life is clean. The new economy is I can hold as much as I want. America is the biggest debtor in the world. And they still go about the world as if they give everybody the money. So that's the point that we need to make. But I'm happy that's done. And I'm happy too that the Vice President said at the Economic Summit that there's going to be a retreat after the ministers have been all sworn in. We'll have a retreat for like a few days where they discuss the policy framework and the rest of it. So it's good that we have hands-on people who are going to be working with all these ministers. And you can be assured too that from the quality, caliber of people that say that's fine, but I'm not going to preempt them. I want to see the policy paper, and that's some of the things I'd like to discuss with you. When they come out with their policy, let us debate it so that we can help them. But for me, economy is number one. Every other thing is just, Because this economy, we can't kickstart it for another 6 to 7 months. Nothing would happen in this country until July. That is saying that if we pass a budget in January and we start implementing the 2016 budget in 2016, look at everything that was coming out from the economic summit. It's saying that it's very gloom. Businesses are not making money. I spoke to a friend who has, well, he doesn't own it, but they have a big car lot. And they're saying that for the first time in a long time, because the government is not buying anything, the government is not buying cars, they had to lay off people. So you can see the spiral effect of all those.
Government not buying cars, private people too are not buying cars.
Yes, private are not buying, but you know that when there's a change of government, that's where they make most of their money, because they tell the dealers, okay, if we wait for 4 years, we need to change cars for commissioners, we need to change cars
but
for
that's
legislators.
also actually also been debated. Why not we should be conservative? Must you change cars every 4 years or change your photocopy machine in the office and all of that? But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, but naturally, if you're a legislator or you're a commissioner and you use the car for 4 years, they're supposed to sell it to you anyway, because if you look at the if you value how it is, the depreciation is gone in 4 years. A lifespan of a car is 5 years. So those kind of things are things that are supposed to be there. But I mean, what it is now, we'll just wait until the policy direction comes out, the policy paper comes out, and then we can have a robust debate about it.
I can't wait.
Yes, I can't wait too.
All right, let's quickly take a few comments on Twitter. Temilore is saying, giving portfolios prior to screening is like giving, what's this? AOC, what does that mean? Anyway, perhaps like expo before an exam. Let's test their IQ generally. Abdulaziz Zuba is saying, yeah, the ministers are not only politicians, they are also technocrats. I did mention something last week, you know. All right, Apollo Creed is saying, I disagree with your guest. We need even more media exposure and public participation. If the senators fear cameras, I'm worried.
That's true.
I took you up on that.
Well, yes, you did, and you fought well for your industry.
Okay, Virus is saying that the media is important. He's another person is also okay. Isete is saying direction and hitting the ground running is not possible till February next year. Ministers will need to study their ministries.
Yeah, very true.
Ejiga Friday is saying, given the responses by the nominees at the screening sessions, I think President Muhammadu Buhari will have a good team to work with. While Friday is saying how to protect infant industries, prevent dumping, and correct balance of payment deficits were supposed to be the questions. Okay, Promise is saying the ministers rehearsed very well before appearing at the Senate, but we know talk is very cheap, but action is expensive. You're nodding.
Yeah, I agree.
Isn't it? That's going in the line of conventional.
Absolutely.
Anyone they could, you know.
Yeah, if they call you on, you would prepare and come there, and then people don't do anything afterwards.
Okay, Victor Ogbeche is saying, to be candid, I'm quite impressed with the performances of the nominees at the ministerial screening. They are competent. While Ishe Joe is saying, I'm 80% encouraged, especially Kemi Adeosun. Olale Kofale just said one word, generic. Okay, those are the comments I have time for. In closing,
yes.
Next week, Tuesday, the Senate would begin another round, of screening. Are we seeing a change in style? Bearing in mind that the president has sent additional names. Let me also ask you, what do you think about those new names? Did you go Googling up some names? Because
yes.
Some names were really not conventional.
Well, there's actually a name that came up there that people did not talk about, and that is Enia Lama, the guy from Abia State. Is the MD of Capital Alliance now.
Yes, Africa Capital Alliance.
Yeah, Africa Capital Alliance.
Yeah.
That's the first private equity company. I mean, fantastic place. I got friends who had worked there before. I got friends who had worked with him. And I think he's somebody who we should be looking out for. He's very sound as well. So that's somebody that I've done top background research on him, and I can see that his thinking will fall in line. So we have a lot of people now working around that Minister of Finance. I mean, he's more open to the new economy. We have a Kemi Adeosun too, is open to that as well. But he's somebody that you should look out for next week. Another lovely person. He's a medical doctor, but he's a chartered financial analyst as well. He has CFA and then he has MBA in finance. So it's somebody that we should look out for. Another person that I think will do very well on the new list. I think a lot of them will just wait until we listen to them. The first set of people are the real politicians that we're waiting for. But I think the Senate is they're going to step up a little next week. Because right now, a lot of people are accusing them that our senator is not speaking and all that. So I'm sure that they would have got people to coach them and ask them questions or write out questions that they're going to speak to them about. But by and large, like people said, I think they're doing very well. And just to close, I am not against the media going there. I just said in the context of all these thorough questions being asked at these people, that sometime maybe we should consider it. But I love the media.
Perhaps that also gives the space for saying, okay, they got the names. Why not they shouldn't be in a rush to screen them. Let them enter into those closed sessions to know
exactly the real questions and come back to them. Because there's no time. The president sent some of the things that Nigerians do too. Sometimes I think we put all the politicians under pressure. And at the end of the day, we suffer for it. The thing about the way he went, that, maybe Bukola Saraki would not want to pass the senators, would not want to pass the nominee because they have a problem with the president, does not help. I think we should have given them a week for them to study the CVs and for them to do detailed work on all those people. That's why I said those who are coming next week, they might probably have more detailed work, because the list was sent to them just a few days and then they had to start interviewing them the following week. So that's what I think. But by and large, I think there's an improvement from what we've been having since 1999 till now. So it shows that our democracy is growing. And then we're only 16 years anyway. America is hundreds of years in democracy. So it can just get better. That's what I think.
Many thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm looking forward to discussing the policy direction when they have it.
All right. I've been speaking with Tunji Awonusi, an economic analyst. We've been looking at the economy, awaiting direction, getting some kind of inspiration from the ministers designate. Thank you for joining us today. Please join us again, same time. I think Monday we will be here, but Tuesday there will be a screening. That's why you won't see us on Tuesday. But join us on Monday. Be the best you can be the change you always want to see. You are the man and the woman in the mirror. I am Nancy Ilo. God bless Nigeria. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Bye now.